Hello and welcome. So when I started doing this video, it was to show how the Tyranids have been in our galaxy for a long time, however even in our galaxy right now. It however has turned into how the Tyranids are doomed, all because of the Iron Warrior Dantiok activating the Feros Beacon. Now the Tyranids are an interesting faction. They are not here for conquering, defending their dying race, or even just fighting for fun. Tyranids are just instinctual. In a galaxy that is entirely at war, the Tyranids are a race that war just happens to. It is really just a predator-prey relationship, and prey is just defending itself. The swarm was attracted to our galaxy because of the activation of the Feros Beacon, or were they already here and just sleeping? Now what is the Feros Beacon? Well, it's a psychic beacon, and we know due to astropaths that psychic messages can only take a few months to reach their destination, and this can be the distance of an entire galaxy. So the Tyranids being at a large distance to even whole galaxies away, such say the Andromeda, which happens to be 2.5 million light years away, getting this message pretty quick wouldn't be too much of a stretch. Now, the thing is, the size of our galaxy, the Milky Way, is 102,000 light years. This means for light to travel from one side to the other will take 102,000 years. Now, why does this apply to the Tyranids? Tyranids don't have any form of faster than light travel, nor do they have a way of travelling through the warp. So we have a top speed for their high fleets of the Tyranids, and this is 186,000 miles per second, and a light year is around 6 trillion miles. So basically, it would take a hive ship a year to travel that far. The beacon was ignited on Sofa in M31. The first official contact is M41, 10,000 years after the beacon's activation on Tyran. There's also a record of M36, so that's around 5,000 years later, of other contact as well. But the official records from the Inquisition is M41. Tyran is around 10,000 light years from Sofa, so the travel time adds up. Tyran is closer to the galactic fringe than Sofa, however. So does this mean that Tyranids came from Sofa? Nope, that's just silly. It just means the Tyranids at the point of the beacon's activation were only 10,000 light years away from Tyran, which puts them right on the edge of a galaxy. If the Tyranids were in the closest galaxy, Andromeda, as said before, is 2.5 million light years away, so they would have never got to the Milky Way in time to be a problem in the 41st millennium. So that puts the Tyranids on the edge of the galaxy at the start of the 41st millennium, right? Well, no. Octarius was attacked by the Hive Fleet Leviathan. And what makes this attack so important? Octarius is close to the galactic core, around 5,000 light years away. The Tyranids would take around about 51,000 years to get from the galactic fringe to the core, and if we minus the 5,000 from the 51,000, the Hive Fleet Leviathan entered the galaxy in the first millennium, which means Tyranids are in our galaxy right now. So why didn't they start consuming until the 41st millennium? Honestly, I think we should look at the Mountain Stone Wetter for this answer. The Mountain Stone Wetter allows ice crystals to form inside its body, putting itself into a suspended animation, and up to 80% of its body will be frozen. Not until the ice melts does the insect wake up. The insect is big too, at almost 4 inches in length. The Tyranid hive ship could and most likely have its adaptation just to survive in space. This would also help with energy consumption. We also know of a tyrannic organism that can do this, Old One-Eye. Now, especially in long journeys between galaxies, this would be advantageous. It also means that during long distances the metabolic rate is slowed too. Deceleration wouldn't be a problem, as if it's using constant acceleration to save energy, because this also means any artificial gravity within the ship would be a side product of constant acceleration. And if they use this to reach light speed, the hive fleets would only have to really decelerate once it woke up. But again, why in the 41st millennium are we hearing about the Tyranids? Now, let's look at the official contact Tyran in Ultima Segmentum. The entire part of the galaxy is relatively empty, so any planets destroyed or consumed would not have been recorded. I also need to notice that the M36, the other contact, the Tau hadn't quite become Tau yet, so even the Tau on the eastern fringes aren't quite Tau at the first contact, and they wouldn't know what happened, and the Tyranids would have just slept and went on past. Anyway, also, so any planets destroyed or consumed wouldn't have been recorded either, or worse, just hidden. The other part is the Ferrous Beacon. It might have woken them up early. Many of the Tyranid organisms we see are ambush predators, the lictors and gene stealers in particular. Having your fleet drift into galaxy looking dead and suddenly attack makes sense. Less biomass will be used in production of new organisms, and where the fleet is largest, it can consume more planets in one go, giving the Tyranids a stockpile, while in what it is doing now and feeding on many on smaller amounts. Let's say the Tyranids woke up 10,000 years later, hopefully Behemoth would still be at Tyran, but it wouldn't be the tip of the fleet anymore. It would be a larger part of the tendril, a part that would cover the planet. The tip of the tendril would be closer to Macragge. To fight Macragge, the Tyranids would have not only have the mass of Tyran, but the planet's equipment destroyed too. That is far more resources than the Ultramarines had at the time. The Ferrous Beacon, being psychic in nature, might have confused the hive mind, believing it to be the Norn Queen to tell the hive to wake up. That is how they woke. What about their actual presence in the galaxy? The speed of Tyranids' fleet is indescribable. It manages to attack planets that are light years away in a matter of months. The Tyranids have the largest ratio of stealth to ambush units than any other faction as well, with 25% of the units being experts in stealth. Now, to say 25% hive fleet being the same is not a stretch of the imagination either. Lictors and gene stealers can be undetectable, and often are. The crypto system was invaded by a hive fleet a year before the attack on Bao, and the crypto system is further than 1 light year away. So how did the Tyranids attack so quickly? Well, they had to be closer but unseen and undetected too, maybe dormant, being woken up by a psychic message to attack the Blood Angel planet. It is the only logical answer here. The Tyranids should have been there years later, and the Blood Angels would have been better prepared. The Cryptus Crusade ended in 998 M41. The attack on Bao, 999 M41. And that is a very short period of time to travel such a long distance. That is literally faster than light. Then there's the issue that the Tyranids are in numbers shown. They will run out of food. Look, if they're in these numbers, they are going to run out of food. This is why they were probably drifting, and this is how they probably do it. Look, mass-consuming single planets or even systems won't provide enough energy to keep the whole fleet going. We know destroying the planet does slow the hive fleets down. This shows that they are on emergency rations or working on basically planet-to-planet basis. Biomass is limited to what they can get. The Ferrous Beacon Waken, the internal galactic hive ships, early meant they have only been using resources they could not spare. If the hive fleet had come at a time and woken up the forged ships like they were meant to, whole sectors would be consumed at once, instead of just the scraps that a system could provide. Every time a Tyranid ship doesn't consume biomass of a planet or the organisms it had produced, this becomes a waste of resources. Tyranids are incredibly efficient. See, when a planet is fully consumed, even the fallen Tyranids and the living Tyranids are part of that consumption, and they recycle that organic matter to make more later. So if a termagant was to fall in battle, then the termagant would go back up to into the biomass and then be made into another one later. It is an incredibly efficient system. And also including the knowledge that killed them. If these organisms do not make it back, the Hive Fleet cannot adapt. This is why we are seeing Hive Fleet Hydra turn to cannibalism of other fleets. It needs that information to adapt every other organism. With huge feeder Tyranids doing on-the-ground job of consuming and providing as much biomass as possible, these are band-aid solutions. They are not working. As the Tyranids at the back of the Hive Fleets are dying, starving to death, because the Hive Fleets just can't get enough biomass fast enough. Right, look, there are 8 billion planets in our galaxy. Now, if we assume every planet has the same population as a hive world, that makes 800 billion people. Look, I'm doing this because obviously there's agri worlds and other worlds, and even gas planets which don't have any biomass or a lot less. This is pretty much the high end of biomass. The hive ships are 24 kilometers long, 1,000 times longer than a female blue whale, the largest animal on our planet. The blue whale eats 6 tons of krill a day. Now, if we multiply that up to the hive ship, it makes 6,000 tons and around 75 people. This would mean that one hive ship would now awake would only last. Let me just get this number right because it's a very long number. $29,223,744 years. 100 hive ships would survive. Well, they'd get through our galaxy and maybe the next one. Now, there's more than 1,000. A lot more than 1,000 hive ships. And they are just doomed. Now, this is probably why they need to be roused later, so they could consume as much as the planet with as little energy expenditure as possible. Then they could refreeze and just drift to the next galaxy and start all over again. Now, if they were still sleeping by the time they got to Octarius, about the halfway point, the hive ships would have a lot less energy. Would have used a lot less energy, I should say, drifting on their momentum from the previous galaxy. And probably even have plenty of stockpile of what is left taken from the Milky Way. So basically, they would have used up less than half the energy they used already, a lot less, because they would have been able to just cover this part of the galaxy, drop everything off, and just attack so quickly that they could reconsume everything back and go on again. It would have been such. The Tyranids are incredibly inefficient at what they do. So there you go. Now, because of the activating of the Fel's beacon, the Tyranids hive ships will never have enough biomass to get through the Milky Way. They will either be killed or starved to death. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching this video on why the Tyranids are doomed. Doomed, I tell you, and they are. And yeah, it's an interesting subject, and I quite enjoy doing these sort of videos. And I actually have another one, and it's far more interesting coming up next week. And maybe the Tyranids have a backup plan for biomass, some way, sort of a larder, fridge sort of thing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and leave. Yeah, what's your thoughts on Tyranids? Do you think they're doomed? Do you think that they could survive? Do you think that the galaxy's doomed? And as always, links to Wayland games down below, as is For the Planet, my comics, my merchandise, and my Patreon. And I'll see you all in the next one. I'm not going to be doing 2 videos a day this week. That was just an experiment for last week, and I'm not doing it again. It hurt my throat too much to continue it. So it'll be 1 video a day. I don't know what it's going to be. Anyway, see you all soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.